Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Rod, and I'm here to do a video response to a contest. Tunes from the Man Cave. Your boy Chris from Tunes from the Man Cave is having a contest, and I took my time getting in the contest, but I really wanted to do it. And he's got some great questions lined up. And you know, he's all about family, which is really cool because I am too. I love my kids and my wife and my parents, my siblings, so I'm really about the family. So a lot of the questions are going to be geared towards that. And the first question is an album that reminds you of somebody in your family. And I'm going with my man, the legendary Johnny Winter. Greatest slide guitar player that ever lived, in my opinion. A great Texas bluesman. And this album reminds me of my sister, Carol Ann. Carol Ann, I don't know if you're watching this video. You're probably not, and that's fine. But when I was in elementary school, like 4th grade, you had this album. Excuse the glare. She was in junior high school, and she had this album. And I remember her playing it, and I was just fascinated by it. Johnny Winter. So, because of her, she really turned me on to that stuff at a very young age. And here's the insert with that album. And I've spent a lifetime listening to the music that she exposed me to. I would play it on my radio shows. Played it on my radio show so much. The station manager asked me to tone it down a little bit on the Johnny Winter. But that album always reminds me of my sister. And this album, I'm going to do 2 for that question. This album, Elton John has a song on there, Your Song reminds me of my wife. And I don't know exactly why it reminds me of my wife, but it really does. And the next question is an album, a song that reminds you of your kids. And I'm going straight up Grateful Dead with this one. From American Beauty. This is an old, worn out copy of this album, but I love it. The song Ripple reminds me of my daughter Casey. And I love Casey dearly. She's my firstborn child. And like many teenagers, they stray, they're doing their own thing. And the song Ripple, that part of the song where he talks about there's a fountain that's not made by the hands of man. It reminded me of her. And there's a road you must travel, but you have to go alone. Those lyrics just really reminded me of her. And I always told her that, man, there is a fountain that is not made by the hands of man. But if you want to get there, you have to go alone. You got to take that journey yourself. Another song, I don't have the album to show, but it's a funny story. The Ramones, Sedated 24 hours a day. Anyway, we're at an amusement park, Dollywood, in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And my youngest daughter, Courtney, man, was about 8 at the time, and she's going around the lazy river with her little feet kicked up in the little inner tube. And she's singing that song. 24 hours a day, I want to be sedated. And this lady looked over at first, smiled like, oh, what a cute little girl. And she heard the lyrics she was singing, and she was just appalled. This little 8-year-old's talking about singing about being sedated. So I had to talk to her about that one. Anyway, that song reminds me of my daughter Courtney. And third question was a beverage you like to indulge in while you listen to music. Coffee for me in the morning. This is not coffee because this is like 12:30 at night. This is water. But in the morning when I'm listening to music, I like a nice cup of coffee. And that's when I'm sitting down chilling. In the evening, maybe like a lemonade or something if I'm relaxing. And there are the times that I feel like drinking a couple beers, you know? And I put on some Stevie Ray Vaughan or the Rolling Stones, and I make a red eye. If you ever watch Oddbox Topper, he mixes the tomato juice and the beer together with celery and hot sauce. Well, my older brother Robert and my brother Bob, he turned me on to that drink, and man, they're really good every once in a while. Very refreshing. So I like to drink that sometimes in the evening if I'm listening to the right music. And question, what album do you have that means something to you? An album that you got with some significance to it, and why? I picked out 3. And the first one is the Rolling Stones, Steel Wheels. It's a great album, man. It came out in I believe the very late 90s. I mean early 90s. 89. So it came out in 89, and they went on tour, I believe, in 90. Maybe it was 89 they went on tour. But I camped out for tickets. 2 days out there at RFK Stadium in D.C. My boy Steve Fisher, and I mean, we had a good time. Really enjoyed the camp out. And I always think of the camp out when I think of this song or this album. And well, a few months after the camp out, I had entered a rehab, and the night before the concert, I knew the concert tickets were in my desk or in my dresser drawer at the house, my parents' house. And I kept thinking about, I'm not going to miss the Rolling Stones. And I was 2 hours away from where I lived and at this facility. And I remember it was a Sunday, and the next day was Monday, of course. But it was a Sunday evening. I bolted, dude. I packed my duffel bag and I hitchhiked. And people were like, "You're crazy. I can't believe you did that." But I'm really glad. Looking back on it, I'm really glad I did it because I got the chance to see the Stones. It was a wonderful show. A rainy night at RFK Stadium in D.C. Yeah, I did something I probably shouldn't have. But I survived. But this album reminds me of that little story. So, also a Grateful Dead album here with meaning behind it, and the reason why is because this came out on Record Store Day 2019, third week of April. It was like #1 on my list, and I did not get it. Did not even see it. But I had a great day anyway. I got some cool stuff. But I mentioned this in a video that I've been looking forward to getting this Grateful Dead album, Sage and Spirit, and could not get it. And Mike at Jam on Vinyl, who we comment on each other's videos, but we've never met in person. But Mike's a great guy. If you haven't checked out Jam on Vinyl, do so. He sent me this album, unopened, sealed, brand new copy of this album. He was not only kind enough to give me his copy, he never even opened it. He just gave it to me, and that means a whole lot to me. It's a Dead thing, man. It's a Grateful Dead thing, but that was great. So this album has some meaning to it. And another album, another Grateful Dead album. This is In the Dark. Has some meaning to it because, like I said, it's a Grateful Dead thing. I had a good copy of this album, and there was a young lady in the VC who said that she did not have any Dead albums. It did not own any. And I thought, daggone, I have to get her some one day. Well, I had just got a box of albums, I think from a friend or something. He wanted me to sell for him. He let me pick like 5 out, and well, this album was in there, and I said, I know exactly who I'm giving it to. And I promised it out before I looked at the condition. The condition was horrible. There was no way I was going to give it to her. So I gave her my copy, and I mailed it to her. The day she got it in the mail that she said she received it, a friend of mine in town who did not even know that had happened said, "Yo, man, I just got an extra copy of In the Dark. Do you need one for your collection?" And I told him that story. So he gave it to me. So I too ended up with a great copy of In the Dark. And it's all about passing on the love when it comes to the Grateful Dead. So this album's got some meaning. It's just a fun story to tell. And the last question, name a favorite album from a genre of music. Now this genre of music is not my favorite. I'm more of a Deadhead, the jam bands, but I've already shown the Dead and stuff. This particular album is from the heavy metal, hard rock. Back then I don't think they were calling it heavy metal, it was just hard rock. From that genre of music. And the reason it's my favorite is because it's sentimental. Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality. Sorry about that glare, guys. Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality. Great album. Has a song After Forever. And I was in 8th grade when I got this album. And I still remember where I got it. In Prince George's County, Maryland, Fort Washington, Maryland, there was a store called Livingston Square Shopping Center. And there was a little record shop in there. And I bought this. It was my first Black Sabbath album. And man, I just thought I was the stuff, man. Black Sabbath had a Black Sabbath album. But I love this album. This is not the copy I got back then. That album is long gone. But anyway, that's got some sentimental value to it for me, you know. But that's my favorite hard rock album from the hard rock genre, and that's the reason why it is. Chris from the Man Cave, dude, I love watching your videos. You're full of enthusiasm. You crack some good beers. Makes me wish I had some sometimes when I'm sitting here drinking water like this. Peace, everybody. Congratulations again to Chris for hitting 500 subs. That's remarkable, man. That's just very commendable. Thanks for watching.